My brother was an imperial physician. Yet he fell in love with a concubine in the palace. The concubine was barren, so he deceived me into entering the palace to share his bed. After I bore him a prince, he sent me to the afterlife with a cup of poisoned wine. Later, the concubine gained status through her son, and became empress. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn in the emperor's bedchamber. In the tall, empty palace, candles flickered dimly. I stared blankly at the golden dragon embroidered on the canopy above the bed. This was the emperor's bedchamber. And I lay there, completely naked, with only a corner of the quilt draped diagonally across my lower abdomen. Beside me, the emperor snored softly, sleeping soundly. I sat up, touching my cold arm. The shogun sand had faded. My body was covered in suggestive red marks, and every movement brought a dull ache. I pulled the quilt over me, covering my body. My thoughts gradually cleared. I had been reborn on the very day I had mistakenly entered the emperor's palace and had my purity defiled by him. In my previous life, Consort Lee had fallen ill, and my brother asked me to enter the palace to keep her company. The consort and my brother had been childhood sweethearts. She treated me like a younger sister. Later, she entered the palace to become the emperor's consort for her future prospects. And my brother also left our family clinic to become an imperial physician. Hearing she was ill, I was deeply concerned. Being able to enter the palace to visit and care for her was naturally a good thing. After staying in the palace for several days, my brother asked me to accompany him to the Imperial Medical Institute to fetch some medicine. I carried the medicine, following closely behind him. After rounding a corner, he vanished from sight. In the unfamiliar, strictly regulated palace, I dared not move. I could only stand still, waiting for him to return and find me. Hearing footsteps behind me, I thought it was my brother. Turning with joy, I saw only an unfamiliar face. His cheeks flushed unnaturally, his eyes gleaming with animalistic desire. The herbs in my hands spilled to the ground. He grabbed me, hoisted me up, and carried me into the sleeping chamber. I couldn't break free, my limbs felt too weak to lift. When I came to, I was in this very state. I took my own pulse. It was confirmed. My dear brother had indeed laced the tea he handed me in the Imperial Medical Bureau. And the emperor beside me, I fear his food and drink were also tampered with. In my previous life, upon waking, I had no time to think. I screamed at the audacious villain, clawing at the man beside me until his face was torn. Only then did I learn that the man who had taken my virtue was the emperor himself. Furious, he bellowed for guards to punish me. But it was the empress and my brother who entered instead. I was brought back to the empress's palace. She pleaded my case before the emperor. She declared that since he had taken me, he must grant me a proper status. I refused any title, wanting only to leave the palace. My brother, however, feared I might do something reckless outside the palace and worried no one would care for me, insisting I remain within its walls. A month later, I was diagnosed with pregnancy. Upon learning this, the emperor sent gifts and instructed the Empress Dowager to look after me. He made no mention of anything else. The Empress Dowager explained that because I had scratched his face, he harbored deep resentment toward me. Once I gave birth to the child, I would naturally receive a title, perhaps even be directly elevated to noble lady. But I didn't want any title of noble lady. I didn't want this child either. Day after day, the Empress Dowager held my hand and pleaded with me earnestly. The emperor had few children. Now 24 years old, he had only one little princess. If I bear him a prince, I would become the foremost benefactor of the imperial house. Even if the emperor dislikes me, the Empress Dowager would advocate for me. Moreover, I have my brother and Her Majesty. No matter what, I would have a place within the harem. Yet I still refuse. Later, my brother told me that harming the imperial heir is a grave crime. If I deliberately abort the child, not only would I lose my life, but my entire family would be implicated and executed. The Empress promised me that if I bore the child, she would raise it well for me. She and my brother swore they would send me away from the palace afterward. How laughable that I ever trusted them. I was confined to a side chamber in Lady Lee's orchid fragrance hall, forbidden to leave even half a step. To ensure a safe pregnancy, my brother checked my pulse daily, and the Empress ordered nourishing tonics every day. Days stretched endlessly, devoid of interest, leaving me only books for company. On the day of delivery, my brother waited outside the door. After a day and night of labor, I finally heard the baby's cry. Exhausted, I lay on the bed as the midwife carried the child out. Consort Lee had already rushed over upon hearing the sound. All our efforts were not in vain, it was indeed a prince. Plump and fair-skinned, he was clearly a charming, beloved child. I listened to the Empress's delighted voice. I thought she would treat this child well, and I could leave the palace with peace of mind. Just as I was about to close my eyes to rest, I heard my brother's voice. Cold as ice. My dong has passed away during childbirth, but she did her utmost to preserve the imperial heir. Please, Your Majesty, compose yourself. My heart plummeted into an icy abyss. I struggled to rise but was pinned down. Before I could question my brother or the Empress, the midwife forced poison down my throat. The agonizing cramps in my womb and lower body sent waves of chill through me. I had trusted the Empress wrongly. She raised my child, ascended step by step, and became Empress. I trusted my brother wrongly. His heart belonged only to his childhood sweetheart, the Empress. For her sake, he schemed to frame his own sister. Recalling all that happened in my past life, my heart ached in waves. At this very moment, Consort Lee and my dear brother must already be waiting outside the palace hall. Glancing sideways at the Emperor sleeping soundly beside me, I lay back, rolled over, and burrowed into his embrace. If you're so easily manipulated, then let me play my own game. My icy body pressed against him. He shuddered at the chill, his eyes still closed as he clamped his hand around my throat. Who is it? Tears welled in my eyes. My hands, weak and trembling, grasped his arms as I murmured softly, "It hurts." He released his grip, his gaze following the slipping blanket. One glance was enough for him to understand. Who are you? How did you get here? Tears still brimmed in my eyes. I'm the younger sister of imperial physician He. I came to the palace to tend to Consort Lee's illness. My brother asked me to fetch some medicinal herbs back to the palace. I got lost on the way and encountered you. You. My face flushed crimson as I lowered my head, grabbing the quilt to cover my chest. The rest of my words. He understood without me speaking. Doubt still lingered in his eyes. At today's palace banquet, he had indeed indulged in several cups too many. The tonic he took, when stimulated by alcohol, stirred his desires. My dear brother deliberately had me drink tea laced with the potion. Then he had me wait outside the Emperor's bedchamber. Meeting him was like a lamb walking into the tiger's den. I was destined to be devoured. Yet to him, it all seemed like I was deliberately seducing him. I lifted my head, eyes red, and demanded, "Who are you? Why are you bullying me like this? Wait until I tell my brother, he'll have you killed." A flicker of amusement danced in his eyes as he scoffed. Your brother? That spineless imperial physician? He wouldn't dare. He lifted my chin, staring into my eyes. Besides, what we share is called imperial favor, not bullying. I feigned shock, my mouth agape. Then I burrowed deep beneath the covers. I've never seen you before. Have someone bring me clothes. I'll leave once I'm dressed. But he pulled back the covers and drew me into his embrace. You sleep with the emperor and then think to leave? How audacious. He held me close, inhaling the fragrance in my hair. What is this scent? I've never smelled it before. Just now. I slept deeply, drawn by this very aroma. I lowered my head in embarrassment, desperately avoiding his unflinching gaze. It's merely the scent of common herbs. I handle them daily, their fragrance clings to me. His hands began to wander restlessly. This scent is lovely, far more pleasant than the cloying perfumes of cosmetics. He pressed himself against me once more. This time, he was gentler, far more patient. The lust stirred by the potion had long since faded from his body. This time, it was simply a man's affection for a woman. I didn't know how to respond to his affection, so I could only beg for mercy from the depths of my heart. Perhaps my heart had been clouded by desire. Clutching the taut, powerful tendons on his arm, gazing at his face with its sharp brows and piercing eyes, I suddenly found him not so repulsive. After all, taking my body wasn't his true intention. And in this absurdity, I too found pleasure. Thinking this, I swayed his arm and cried out more joyfully. His mood grew ever more animated, tossing and turning until I had no strength left. Afterward, he held me close, gathering the disheveled strands of hair at my temples. I like you. What is your name? I'm He Maidong. The lingering tremors in my body hadn't yet faded. Leaning weakly against his chest, my voice sounded seductive even to my own ears. Maidong? Isn't that just a kind of wild grass? Such a rustic name. How about I give you a new one? He spoke with a smile, his fingers tracing my hair before teasing my earlobe. Audiobook nourishes the lungs and yin, benefits the stomach and generates fluids, clears the heart and dispels irritability. It's an excellent medicinal herb, not rustic at all. I swatted his hand away and turned my head away in a huff. A large hand cupped my face, forcing me to meet his gaze. Maidong, do you know I am the emperor? No one has ever dared to strike my hand like that. Catching the mischievous glint in his eyes, I reluctantly softened my tone. Fine. If you insist on changing your name, so be it. What can I do? You're the emperor. Even if you ordered my execution, I'd have to thank you first. He laughed heartily, pulling me back into his embrace. Truly, only petty men and women are hard to please. A mere offhand remark from me, and you've already piled on so much complaint. He pinched the soft flesh at my waist, eliciting a soft whimper from me. I could never bear to kill you. I want you by my side to keep me company. Would you be willing? Hearing his tender words, I sighed inwardly. When you carried me into the palace, you didn't ask my consent. Yet now, you deign to inquire about my wishes. If I said no, would you truly let me go? Besides, even if you could, Consort Lee and my brother standing outside the gate wouldn't let me leave the palace. I traced circles on his chest with my finger. I'm already yours. Yet you still ask? Are you planning to deny everything once you pull up your pants? He chuckled cheerfully, catching my wandering hand. You truly are a wildflower. No one has ever dared speak to the emperor like this before. I feigned displeasure and pulled my hand back. This is just how I am. If you don't like it, then I don't want to stay with you either. Have someone release me from the palace immediately. He pressed my hand against his chest. When did I ever say I disliked it? I like it very much. With that, he bellowed for attendance, utterly unconcerned that we were both disheveled. Hearing the door open, I hid behind him, wrapped in the quilt. He merely laughed, unconcerned. Entering were indeed Consort Lee and my brother, though beside them stood a eunuch holding a whisk. Your Majesty, please forgive me. My sister, being new to the palace, knows not the protocols and has offended your majesty. I beg you not to hold her to blame. Whatever punishment she deserves, I will bear it in her stead. The moment my brother entered, he knelt with a thud without raising his head, performing a deep bow. Consortly followed suit, your majesty. The young lady of the He family grew up alongside me. She has always been innocent and kind-hearted. She would never intentionally trespass into your bedchamber, much less deliberately seduce the sovereign. I implore your majesty, for my sake, to spare her punishment. Her words and actions mirrored my previous life exactly. In that past life, when they entered, I had scratched the emperor's face and now glared at him like two fighting cocks. Now, I hung my head like a guilty quail, refusing to look at the two figures at the doorway. Next, as long as the emperor remained silent, Consortly would plead to take me back to the palace. Returning meant virtual house arrest. I edged closer to the emperor and urged, "Tell them quickly, I didn't offend you, nor did I seduce you." He glanced back at me, his eyes twinkling with amusement. "In this state, and you claim not to have tempted the emperor?" Following his gaze, I looked down to see a sliver of snow-white skin exposed at my chest. I hastily pulled the quilt tighter, ducking further behind him while pinching his lower back. "With everyone here, don't you dare spread nonsense. Why so quiet? You were shouting just now." He winced, snatching my hand and rubbing the back of my palm, perhaps sensing the lingering, suggestive atmosphere in the chamber. Both brother and the consort lifted their heads. "Avoid improper sights." The eunuch standing beside them drew out the words in a drawn-out tone. He shot a withering glance at my brother, who was prostrated on the floor, then flicked his whisk and strode forward. "Your Majesty, forgive this servant. I knew you never permitted concubines to attend you in the Purple Palace. It was my negligence. I deserve death 1,000 times over." I peered over the emperor's shoulder to study this chief eunuch. Though he bowed his head humbly, pleading forgiveness, his face showed not a trace of the fear one would expect from a wrongdoer. Humph. All talk and no action. But he said the emperor never allowed concubines to sleep here. Does that mean I'm the first woman to lie on this bed? No wonder the emperor tried to choke me the moment he woke. He must be used to sleeping alone. Never mind. Henceforth, the imperial consortchen shall be permitted to attend to his majesty here. At these words, the eunuch visibly stiffened before immediately kneeling. This servant greets Her Imperial Highness the consortchen. May Her Imperial Highness enjoy boundless health and happiness. I scratched the emperor's back and whispered, "Who is the imperial consortchen?" Before he could answer, my brother banged his head on the floor again. "Your humble servant's sister is young and ignorant, with a stubborn and unruly nature. She is unworthy of the emperor's profound affection. This humble servant is filled with dread. I beg your majesty to reconsider." He lifted his head and looked at me. "My dong, quickly ask the emperor to revoke his decree." I glared at him. As if I didn't understand, the emperor intends to make me a consort. Seeing me gain this title after merely sharing his bed, he likely feels it's undeserved for his beloved, who spent 3 years climbing the ranks to become a concubine. Too bad, I won't let him have his way. This consort title was earned by my own efforts. After all that struggle, my body still aches. If the emperor offers it, I shall take it. I insist on standing above his beloved. Silence fell upon the chamber. I sensed the emperor's displeasure. Before he could speak, the eunuch interjected. "How dare you? He Rindong! How could you presume to address the consortchen by her given name?" My brother continued kowtowing, pleading for the emperor to reconsider with the demeanor of a loyal minister making a final appeal. "Your Majesty, this humble servant knows you favor Sister Maidong. Yet to grant her such favor so soon after her imperial favor is bestowed may stir gossip within the palace." Consort Li opened her vermilion lips, her words soft and measured, sounding quite reasonable. Moreover, having entered the palace only days ago, she remains unfamiliar with court etiquette. Might it not be better for this humble servant to take her back for careful instruction before formal investiture? What say you? Her beauty truly lives up to the character lovely. At this moment, feigning illness, her complexion appeared 3 shades paler than before, rendering her even more exquisitely delicate. I dreaded the emperor heeding her words, for her reasoning held undeniable merit. I gripped the quilt nervously, wondering how I could escape if the emperor agreed to let consortly take me back. In my previous life, after they brought me back, I never stepped outside her palace again, nor did I ever see the emperor's face. Each time he came, I was locked away in a side chamber. Back then, we despised each other's presence, better not to meet at all. So whenever he came, I simply stayed quietly in my room. I feared that if he saw me, he would punish me for scratching his face. This time, if she dared to lock me up again, I would smash vases and plates, causing an absolute uproar. Lost in these thoughts, I failed to notice the emperor's face had grown as cold as ice. He Rindong, how dare you question my decision? Considering you are the brother of Consort Chin, I shall spare you this time. My spirits lifted instantly, and I sat up straight behind the emperor. I thought, don't spare him. Punish him for this grave offense of disrespect. Give him a few lashes to vent my anger. Consort Li's face paled even more than before. It seemed the emperor's rebuke of her brother had pained her deeply. Just as I was secretly gloating, the emperor spoke again, yet I still do not understand, within these palace walls, who I favor and bestow my affection upon should I need to heed the opinions of others. At these words, my brother bowed his head even lower, and Consort Li knelt down with a thud. Consort Li, I appreciate your concern for me. Yet your rank as a mere consort scarcely qualifies you to instruct the noble consorts. He squeezed my hand and continued, moreover, you've been ill these past days. If you pass on your sickness to Lady Maidong, what then? Hearing this, I realized I wouldn't have to return to that cramped, gloomy side hall. My heart swelled with joy, and I squeezed the emperor's hand in return. He raised his hand, signaling the eunuch to rise. Lu Fujuan, arrange for attendants to assist Consort Chin with her ablutions and change of garments. Additionally, instruct the Ministry of Rites to expedite preparations for the investiture ceremony. Eunuch Lu Fujuan rose and asked the emperor which palace to assign me to. The only vacant main palace now is the Palace of Eternal Peace. But it suffered some leaks recently and is currently under repair. If Her Imperial Highness the Consort Chin is to reside there, this servant believes it would be an excellent opportunity for a thorough renovation. However, until then, Her Imperial Highness would have to endure temporary accommodation elsewhere. Upon hearing this, Consort Li raised her head again. Your Majesty, I am willing to offer the main hall of the Orchid Fragrance Palace for Consort Chin to reside in. I shall move to the side hall, so my sister and I may keep each other company. Who says we're sisters? She's still trying to drag me to the Orchid Fragrance Palace. I tugged at the emperor's hand and muttered, the Orchid Fragrance Palace is too far away. Yes. Lanchin Hall is too far. Then let's find somewhere closer. The emperor ignored Consort Li, patted my hand, and turned directly to Eunuch Lu Fujuan. Did you hear that? Eunuch Lu bowed deeply to me. The side hall of Zichin Hall is currently vacant. With a little tidying, it could be ready for occupancy. The side hall of the Purple Forbidden Hall? That's practically right beside the emperor's bedchamber. A chill suddenly ran down my neck. The emperor smiled at me, nodding with satisfaction. Lu Fujuan has indeed thought of everything. But I wonder what my beloved consort thinks. That single word, beloved consort, sent my head spinning. I'd only slept for a night, how had I become his beloved consort? But then I thought, with the emperor backing me, Neither brother nor consortly could touch me. With that thought, I hooked my arm through his, acting perfectly docile. I'll do whatever you say. The purple forbidden hall was the imperial residence. Neither the main hall nor the side chambers contained a single item belonging to a woman. Lu Fuchuan led a group of palace maids and eunuchs in and out. The emperor dressed and departed. I had just finished my ablutions when consortly and my brother requested an audience outside the hall. Eunuch Lu Fuchuan accompanied me to meet them. The moment we entered, my brother strode forward. My dong. What's going on? Why has the emperor suddenly favored you so? Eunuch Lu stepped before me. How dare you? He rending. How dare you not kneel before consort Chin? My brother and consortly reluctantly performed the ritual bow. Eunuch Lu, might you grant us a moment alone? My brother inquired, lifting his head. I met Eunuch Lu's questioning gaze and nodded. Actually, I have matters to discuss with you both. Brother, don't you know why the emperor suddenly favors me? Seated on the couch, I observed my brother kneeling before me. My dong, minister, he is still your elder brother. Let him rise first. He knelt in the main hall for quite some time earlier. Consortly remarked, standing beside my brother. It seemed neither of them had yet adjusted to the difference in our current statuses. I shot her a withering glare. Consortly, are you instructing me? Or are you concerned for my brother? Her face flushed visibly. My dong, the Empress Dowager still resides in the palace. For the emperor to appoint you as a consort, you must first gain her approval. This title of imperial consort may not be yours to claim. Regardless, Lord, he is your brother. How can you show such disregard for family ties the moment you ascend the imperial bed? I smiled. What? Consortly, are you unaware that an emperor's word is law? Or do you think I'm unworthy of the emperor's favor? Unworthy of this title? Whether the formal investiture goes smoothly or not. Right now I am the consort Chin, personally appointed by the emperor's golden words. I can keep you in check for now. As for family ties, when you and my brother conspired against me, did you ever urge him to consider our bond? While soaking in the bath just now, I sorted everything out in my mind. Our family has practiced medicine for generations. Our ancestors possessed a unique skill, discerning through pulse readings when a woman is most fertile. Since childhood, I followed my parents' teachings, practicing the 5 animals exercise and the 8 brocades to strengthen my body, while daily herbal tonics and nourishing meals kept me robust and healthy. My appearance is not particularly striking, nor am I especially alluring to men, nor do I yearn for the power and splendor of the imperial palace. I was simply the most suitable candidate for bearing children that my brother and consortly could conceive of. These past days, while my brother attended to consort Lee's medicinal soups, he also took my pulse daily. I treated it as a childhood game, never suspecting he was observing when I would be most receptive to conception. The Imperial Medical Bureau prepared the emperor's medicinal meals daily, and naturally, he seized the opportunity to tamper with them. The emperor drank a little wine and favored a woman who happened to pass by. Such matters were hardly news in the harem. What they hadn't anticipated was that the emperor, instead of favoring a beauty as graceful and charming as consortly, had chosen to favor me. Truthfully, I hadn't expected it either. I suppose it's because my constitution is strong enough to endure his demands. But none of that matters. Whatever the reason, he favors me now. I must seize this moment while he favors me to make my brother and consortly suffer. Sure enough, the moment those words left my lips, both consortly and my brother turned pale. My dong, don't slander me with empty accusations. I left the Imperial Medical Bureau with you. I merely walked a few steps ahead, and when I turned back, you were gone. As for the emperor favoring you, that was his own lack of restraint. How could you blame me? My brother straightened up and met my gaze. Truthfully, your imperial favor is a blessing for our family. Yet emperors have always been ruthless. And the imperial harem is a sea of hidden currents. Your sudden elevation to consort will surely stir envy among the others. As your brother, and since consortly has been close to you since childhood, we ought to watch out for each other in this deep palace. He knelt before me. Sister, I forgot you were unfamiliar with the palace paths and walked a bit faster. I truly meant no harm. Besides, might this not be a blessing in disguise? I looked at him. Recalling those cold words, Lady Maidong had a difficult labor. But we did our utmost to save the royal heir. With my robust health and mastery of medicine. If they hadn't confined me to my chambers and forced me to take tonics daily, how could I have had such a plump baby that was hard to deliver? And even if it had been difficult, I still gave birth. It was consortly who couldn't conceive, so she and my brother concocted this despicable scheme to frame me. I shifted my expression and smiled at my brother. Yes, brother is right. Maidong has no standing in the palace. In the future, I'll need brother and consort Li's guidance. Shortly after my brother and consort Li departed, Eunuch Lu arrived with a message. He said the side chamber hadn't been prepared yet, and the emperor had specially permitted me to stay in the main chamber tonight. Looking at the side chamber fully stocked with every amenity, I asked Eunuch Lu what exactly wasn't ready. Your Highness, look at that bed. Isn't there one quilt missing? I glanced at the 4 or 5 quilts already on the bed and let out a bitter laugh. My emperor, even if I were in perfect health, I couldn't endure such relentless day and night exhaustion. After finishing my ablutions, Eunuch Lu led me to the main hall. The emperor sat by the bed in his nightclothes. Seeing me enter, he hastily hid whatever he was holding beneath the mattress. You're here. Come closer. How is your body? Any discomfort? I shook my head. Then after a moment, nodded. He burst out laughing. Why the mixed signals? Shaking your head then nodding. Are you comfortable or not? Not wanting to deceive him, I decided to be honest. Someone massaged my arms and legs. And the imperial physician examined me. I feel fine. Just a bit tired. He pulled me onto the bed. If you're tired, let's sleep. I promise not to disturb you tonight. I looked at him, half believing, half doubting. Your body truly needs proper recuperation. Fainting during our first time, well, it was my fault for being too eager. Hearing this, my face flushed crimson. He actually reflected on his own impatience. That night, the emperor was indeed well behaved, merely holding me without any further advances. When I awoke, I was still in his embrace, gazing at his broad, muscular chest mere inches away. I pushed him away with my hand. He didn't budge an inch. I only said I wouldn't bother you tonight. This is the next day. I felt like crying, utterly helpless against his teasing. Exhausted, I fell asleep. When I awoke again, daylight streamed in, and the emperor was already gone. I felt beneath the mattress, nothing there. What on earth was the emperor hiding that he treasured so? After I rose, Lu Fuchuan followed me everywhere. Annoyed, I asked him, as the chief steward, why are you following me instead of the emperor? He replied it was the emperor's command, and he had no choice but to obey. After breakfast, 2 groups of imperial physicians arrived to meticulously take my pulse. Ladies from the Imperial Wardrobe Bureau came to measure me for garments. The head steward of the imperial kitchen personally inquired about my favorite dishes. Eunuchs from the imperial gardens brought young attendants carrying exotic flowers and plants for me to choose. Lu Fuchuan explained that all this was by the emperor's command. Something was off. Very, very off. How could this emperor be so different from the one in my past life? I asked Lu Fuchuan, do I resemble anyone? Perhaps someone from the emperor's past? He replied, no, Your Highness. You don't even resemble physician he. I pressed him further, does the emperor have some secret inclination? Tell me. and I swear I won't repeat a word." He cut me off immediately. "His Majesty is a gentleman of the highest integrity." "Your Majesty, you mustn't speak such nonsense." I pressed him further. "Then is the Emperor secretly fond of someone else? Someone he can't be with for now? Is that why he's using me as a substitute?" He finally sighed. Unable to hold back, "Your Majesty, please don't put your servant in such a difficult position. Can't you see that the Emperor is fond of you?" I shook my head. "I haven't noticed." He sighed again, then shared many details about the Emperor's life. The Emperor was the eldest son of the Empress, destined for the throne from childhood. The late Emperor and Empress Dowager demanded the utmost rigor from him. From a young age, he became a dignified and upright gentleman. Whether in the front court or the inner palace, he never overstepped his bounds. The Emperor's heart is bitter, born within these palace walls. Even when hunting outside, he was taught never to gallop or journey alone. From infancy, he was alone. All these years, he never grew accustomed to having anyone beside him when he slept. "Your Majesty, if I may speak with the utmost disrespect, the Emperor may favor someone not because he truly likes them, but if he asks you to sleep beside him, that is genuine affection." In Lu Fuchuan's eyes, I was a thick-headed block of wood. Yet I truly cannot fathom why the same person could display such stark contrasts. As I sat at the table drinking ginseng and astragalus chicken soup, it suddenly dawned on me, yesterday, while the maidservant dressed me, the Emperor had asked Lu Fuchuan, "Does my face look any different?" Lu Fuchuan replied, "No." The Emperor pressed, "Look again. More closely." Lu Fuchuan paused briefly before answering, "Your Majesty is radiant with joy today, looking more ethereal and handsome than ever." It seemed he cared deeply about his appearance. So scratching his face in my previous life had indeed angered him. Henceforth, I should lavish praise on his beauty, comparing him to Panin and Songyu, striving to secure my position under this mighty tree. Rumors spread throughout the palace that I possessed the art of seduction. With merely average looks, I climbed onto the imperial bed and gained his favor. Even the Empress Dowager, usually so strict, turned a blind eye to the Emperor's such outrageous behavior. One day, Consort Li came to see me, her face beaming with joy. These palace folk are ever so fond of spreading rumors. To think they'd claim my sister practiced witchcraft. How utterly ridiculous. Seeing her cover her mouth with a handkerchief to stifle her laughter, I knew her next words wouldn't be kind. Word came from the Empress Dowager's quarters. "The Emperor favors you because of some strange dream he had. In it, a little boy called him Father Emperor and said he'd find a stranger to bring him here." How convenient. She added, "That you, this very stranger, appeared right then." She casually snapped off a flower branch and sniffed it. "Truth be told," she continued, "none of us here in the palace can ever hope for the Emperor's true affection. We're merely tools for perpetuating the imperial line. You're no different, sister." With that, she flung the flower branch to the ground and stomped on it twice. Truth be told, within these palace walls, who truly holds greater nobility than another? Consider Consort Yang of the previous dynasty, promoted 3 ranks within a single month. Rising from a lowly noble consort to consort, she commanded unparalleled favor, yet ended her days banished to the cold palace. I understood her meaning. The Emperor favors me only because I can bear children, not because he truly loves me. But wasn't that also the case when she and brother schemed against me? Sister Li Pin was right. True affection is the rarest treasure in this world. Yet once we entered these palace walls, where could we possibly find it? I stroked the buds about to bloom on the flower branch. I fear I shall never know the taste of true affection in this lifetime. Precious treasures come easily, but a loving husband is hard to find. Sister, I truly envy you. Hearing my words, her hand paused mid-reach to pluck the blossom. Sister, Do not sacrifice your true heart for worldly things. She and brother were childhood sweethearts, once bound by genuine affection. Brother entered the Imperial Medical Academy solely to be near her, to vie for favor. She emulated Zhao Fian of the previous dynasty, starving herself until her body wasted away. She took the wrong pills, damaging her health. Seeing her strive so earnestly for favor, he never grew jealous or resentful. Instead, he did his utmost to help her. He even sacrificed me, his own sister, for her sake. Is that not true devotion? What does it matter if true love remains elusive? Imperial favor is just as valuable. She touched her own face. With such beauty, why couldn't she win the emperor's favor? As for her brother, he was simply deluded, foolishly obsessed with becoming a palace consort. Ah, what a waste of my poor, foolish brother. That night, after I fell asleep, the emperor slipped into my chambers. These past days, if he had many memorials to review, he would summon me to the main hall, allowing me to sit and read or retire early. If the memorials were few, he would come to my chamber after finishing his work. Tonight he did not summon me, nor did I wish for him to come. I extinguished the lamp early, pretending to be long asleep. When he entered, he only allowed eunuch Lu to stand far away at the door, holding a lamp. The chamber was dim. I watched him slowly approach and sat up abruptly. My beloved concubine, you weren't asleep? Resting so early tonight, are you feeling unwell? He wasn't even startled. Beloved concubine. Beloved concubine. Do you call everyone beloved concubine? Or do you find my name too rustic? I didn't know where this irritation came from, but I felt genuinely annoyed. Eunuch Lu at the door overheard, slammed the door shut, and fled with the lantern. What's wrong? Did someone upset you? The emperor didn't seem angry, he simply took my hand and rubbed it in his palm. Never mind. Never mind. Let's sleep. Since he wasn't angry, I felt awkward continuing my tantrum. I crawled back under the covers. And he followed, pulling the quilt over us. I've never called anyone else my beloved consort. I just thought it sounded intimate when I called you that. If you don't like it, I won't use it anymore. My dong. I did think your name sounded old-fashioned, but after calling it so many times in my heart, it just feels familiar. Come to think of it, my own childhood nickname was pretty old-fashioned too. I turned to face him and asked what his nickname was. He hesitated at first, but when I tickled his soft spot, he finally told me, Zongbao. When I was born, I was frail. My parents feared I wouldn't survive, so they named me hoping our ancestors would protect me. Hearing him refer to himself as I decided to forgive him. From now on, when we're alone, you may call me my dong, and I'll call you Zongbao. How does that sound? Fine. Whatever you like is fine. He pulled me into his embrace, resting his chin atop my head. I listened to the gentle humming sound from his chest. My dong, how has your health been these past few days? Any discomfort? I shook my head. That's good. My dong. I made a bold promise to Mother Empress that I'd soon make her an imperial grandmother. But I'm truly afraid something might happen to you. Oh. No wonder Consort Li came to me earlier today with those words. It all makes sense now. My dong. These past days I've ordered searches nationwide for skilled physicians and midwives. Don't fear, I'll do everything in my power to protect you. I looked up at him and asked, you want me to bear your child? Yes. That way, the court officials and Mother Empress will have no grounds to object. And then, for the sake of the child, you'll be willing to stay by my side. That sounds a bit strange. But how can you be certain I'll conceive? So many consorts and ladies in this palace remain childless. Sometimes, When a couple has no children, it isn't necessarily the woman's fault. The implication was clear, perhaps it was you. The emperor. Who was lacking? He caught the subtext in my words. Rolled over. And pinned me beneath him. No sowing. No reaping. But I've been working so hard lately, heaven wouldn't leave me empty-handed. I was wrong. I shouldn't have tried to goad him. After the ceremony to confer my title as consort, I went to pay my respects to the Empress Dowager. Before going, the Emperor assured me he'd spoken well of me to the Empress Dowager. So I needn't be nervous. The Empress Dowager didn't make things difficult for me. When I kowtowed before her, her attendants even thoughtfully placed a soft cushion beneath me. She had me stand before her, scrutinized me closely, then remarked, "You are indeed plain." Had I known the Emperor disliked beauty, I wouldn't have bothered having others seek out lovely women for him. But plain looks are good too. It means the Emperor won't be distracted by women and neglect his duties. Since His Majesty favors you and wants your company, you should serve him well. Only this Empress Dowager hopes His Majesty keeps his word and grants me a great-grandchild soon. Should I discover he uses you merely as a shield, I won't spare him, nor you. The Empress Dowager is the Empress Dowager, her words never spare a soul. Recalling the Emperor's words to me, I carefully began. Your Majesty, my family has practiced medicine for generations. Since childhood, I've trained in the 8 brocades and 5 animals play. My parents also often had me nourish myself with medicinal cuisine. Thus, my health is robust. As long as the Emperor is well, the child will come naturally. After hearing my words, the matron attending the Empress Dowager turned to Lu Fujuan, who followed behind me. Has no one taught consort Chen proper etiquette? How can she not even know respectful speech? Eunuch Lu immediately knelt to apologize. The Emperor said he cherishes consort Chen's natural grace and refuses to force any change. The Empress Dowager waved her hand dismissively. Enough. Enough. If His Majesty is pleased, let him be. I am old now and have no business meddling in the affairs of the young. After leaving the Empress Dowager's palace, my words spread throughout the harem. Many consorts mocked my lack of etiquette, while others came to congratulate me and inquire about my methods for maintaining health and vitality. I set up my medical table in the hall and took the pulse of each sister who sat before me. Over these past days, the maids and eunuchs in my palace had already been examined by me several times. They had no major ailments. But the pampered consorts, accustomed to a life of ease, had many issues. Sister, you must eat and drink properly. Man is iron. Food is steel. Eating too little may make you thin, but your body cannot endure it. Sister, your beauty is already captivating. There's no need to obsess over excessive whiteness. While some perfumed powders may lighten the skin, the lead they contain is harmful to a woman's health. Sister, you really should move more often. Delicate fragility may be endearing, but we were born with legs meant for walking. Don't fear thicker calves, no one will notice beneath your skirts. My palace remains bustling daily, though consort Li rarely visits now. I hear she's taken ill again. Brother tends to her bedside. A month later, I detected the pulse of pregnancy. Yet the Emperor seemed less than pleased. The Yongin Palace had long been renovated, yet he never once suggested I move there. As my belly grew larger, he spent more and more time by my side. One day, Brother came to pay his respects and brought a bottle of pills. He claimed to have concocted them himself, beneficial for pregnancy, relieving morning sickness and fatigue. I opened it and took a brief sniff, instantly knowing something was amiss. Brother, you must know that harming the imperial heir is a grave crime. Not only would the perpetrator lose their life, but their entire family would be implicated. Do not assume that because you are my brother, I would hesitate to act for the greater good. Since becoming pregnant, my sense of smell has grown far more acute. Once, After practicing swordsmanship, the emperor rushed to see me without bathing first, and I vomited on the spot. Now he dares not even use incense. And now you send me this vial of pills reeking of cinnabar. I kept you and consortly alive only to show you how I would ascend to power. How I would gain status through my child, not to give you further opportunities to harm me. Since you refuse to repent, then die. The Astronomical Bureau prayed for the health of my unborn child and determined consort Li's fate clashed with the young prince's. The emperor ordered her confined to the Orchid Fragrance Hall, to be released only by his personal command. My brother came to plead for Consort Li. Though I once shared a bond with Consort Li, she now endangers the prince. This is the Astronomical Bureau's verdict. What choice do I have? You know how desperately the Empress Dowager and the Emperor long for this child. He banged his head on the ground several times. You know my entire life has been lived for Lin Yang. Now that you've become the esteemed consort Chen and bear the dragon's heir, why torment even a lowly, unloved palace lady like her? Do you not wish to accumulate blessings for yourself, nor for the child growing within you? How laughable! She, a noble consort, has long schemed against me, a mere commoner. Now that times have changed, she has the audacity to demand magnanimity from me? I looked at my brother kneeling before me. Are you cursing my child? Do you not fear losing your life, never to see your beloved again? His face paled, yet he persisted with his twisted logic. Does Her Majesty truly intend to commit patricide during her pregnancy? I smiled faintly. Your time to die has not yet come. Of course not. From childhood, Mother taught us that as siblings of the same mother, we should cherish and support one another. Only you have long forgotten this, and I need not remember. But for the sake of your childhood friendship, I shall petition His Majesty for mercy, to permit you to tend to his illness in the Orchid Fragrance Hall. Eunuch Lu has already made arrangements. Word will be relayed from the hall. Consort Li had never enjoyed great favor in the palace, and now confined within her quarters, her treatment was far worse than before. Only in utter despair did she realize the preciousness of her brother's true heart. Through the long, lonely nights, my brother chose to stay. Upon learning of their bond, the emperor held my hand and comforted me. I was unaware Consort Li and your brother were old acquaintances. She was brought into the palace by my late mother's decree. Since their affection runs deep, after you deliver safely, I shall have a false identity fabricated for Consort Li and send them both out of the palace. Supporting my lower back, I nodded. As my pregnancy advanced, the nighttime heat made me reluctant to share the emperor's bed. I slept in a side hall, and each night he waited until I was asleep before returning to the main hall himself. One day, while he was discussing state affairs in the front hall, I found the sun too intense outside and went to stroll in his chambers. Beneath his pillow, a corner of fabric peeked out, very much like the item he'd hastily hidden under the bedding that day. I walked over, pulled it out, and blushed instantly. It was the nightgown I'd worn the first time we made love in this hall. Embroidered on it was a plant of Ophiopagon, stitched by my own hand. In my previous life, consumed by the outrage of my innocence being violated, I hadn't even noticed losing a piece of clothing. This time, when Eunuch Lu sent new garments, I paid no mind to where my old ones had gone. Little did I know the emperor harbored such a peculiar inclination, a fondness for secretly keeping women's clothing. That night, long after I had retired, I heard the emperor's angry shouts echoing from the main hall. He was usually so kind to his servants. Why was he so furious today? When I arrived at his chambers, supporting my belly, the entire hall was filled with kneeling figures. Seeing me approach, he hurried to assist me. Did my loud voice disturb your sleep? The baby kicked me awake. What is happening? I glanced at the kneeling servants, all familiar faces who regularly attended the palace, including Lu Fuchuan. Nothing is amiss. Let me escort you back to rest. I refused to leave. Lu Fuchuan was the most forthright, Your Majesty. A precious item from the bedchamber is missing. Consort. You were the only one who entered today. You must help us find it. That must be my nightgown. I saw it and took it back. Your Majesty. Won't you explain to me why you hid my clothes? I asked him as he massaged my legs after escorting me back. This was the first time I'd spoken to him like this, making his already flustered face flush even redder. My dong. I didn't mean to. It turned out he'd always suffered from poor sleep, and the herbal scent on my body had a calming effect on him. My nightgown had fallen onto his bed, and he'd kept it. Recently, I'd sent him back to the main hall, and he'd started having trouble sleeping again at night. So he'd taken out the nightgown. Today, when he couldn't find it, he flew into a rage. If you need help sleeping, I can sew you a herbal sachet. I always saw him sleeping soundly beside me. I never imagined he'd have trouble sleeping. I am a physician. If you have any ailments or discomfort, just tell me. Why go to such lengths as hiding my nightgown? He nodded hastily. Yes. Yes. The physician is right. It's just that I've been suffering from longing lately. Is there any remedy for that? I kicked him. There's no cure. Now go back to sleep. Eunuch Lu follows me daily, lately reminding me often. Your Highness, you've been acting a bit too spoiled by the Emperor's favor lately. While His Majesty finds it sweet as honey and doesn't mind, if word reaches the Empress Dowager's ears, it won't sound good. Your servant speaks as a loyal minister, all for your own good. Reflecting on my actions and his words, I realized he was right. As my body grew heavier and many tasks became impossible, I directed the palace maids and eunuchs to gather and dry herbs. I had the Imperial Wardrobe Bureau sew 2 calming sachets. One was for His Majesty, the other for Her Majesty the Empress Dowager. Both found them effective. I wrote down the formula and handed it to my parents when they came to visit. Father, Mother, take these to market. Your daughter made them personally. Both the Emperor and Empress Dowager praised them. They asked what name to give the sachets. I pondered. Let's call them natural. Natural sleep aid sachets. Before they left, I added one more instruction. You must give me half the profits from the pouches. Your daughter needs some personal spending money while in the palace. The Emperor laughed at my greed. I couldn't be bothered to care. My brother now keeps consortly company, inevitably taking money from home to support her. The 2 of them will die sooner or later. When he's spent every last coin from our family, what will become of our parents? If my brother dies in the palace, our parents surely won't want the imperial gifts. I won't take that money either, let it be saved for their old age. The day of delivery drew ever closer. The Emperor grew increasingly anxious. On the day of birth, both he and the Empress Dowager waited outside the hall. I thought that with my daily walks and measured nourishment, the labor might be easier this time. Yet the pain still lasted half a day. After the child was born, the midwife first held him for me to see. A tiny, wrinkled bundle, yet his features already bore his father's likeness. May he grow to be as gallant and handsome as his father. Once I was dressed, the Emperor was the first to rush in. He took my hand. His eyes slightly reddened. My dong, are you all right? Is there any discomfort? I shook my head. My dong, now that we have our child, let us live well as a family of 3. You must not think of leaving the palace again. When did I ever speak of leaving the palace? For the merit of bearing the imperial prince, the Emperor elevated my rank to imperial noble consort and granted a general amnesty. The gates of Longqing Hall were opened once more. Yet consortly remained confined within her chambers. Unbeknownst to me, she now carried my brother's child within her. My brother had claimed her pills for winning favor had damaged her body, rendering her unable to conceive, a lie he had spun to deceive her. Truthfully, he simply could not bear the thought of his beloved sharing a bed with another man. Thus, Together they devised the scheme to lure me into the palace, conceive, and bear his child. On the day of the young prince's full-month celebration, the emperor hosted a banquet in the palace, requiring all consorts to attend. After the banquet, Consort Li sought me out alone. Her abdomen was tightly bound, yet the swelling was unmistakable. "My Dong, save me. Give me an abortion potion. This child cannot remain." She knelt on the ground, her expression sorrowful. Brother rushed over and helped her up. "My Dong, why must you always make things difficult for Lin Yang?" I was speechless. How could it be said that I was making things difficult for her? It was you who made her pregnant and unable to show her face in public. Besides, I never sent you any love potions or aphrodisiac wine. Brother, Consort Li came to me asking for an abortion potion. I didn't seek her out. "You want to abort our child?" he asked Liang, his voice slow and measured. Liang flung his hand away. "This is the palace. Have you lost your mind? Or do you want me dead?" I quickly interjected. "Sister, weren't you infertile before? How did you conceive this time?" Hearing this, Liang turned to her brother. Her eyes filled with questioning. Ever since brother entered the palace, he alone had taken her pulse and treated her ailments. She trusted him, unaware of his hidden motives. "Yes. How could I forget? Minister He, you once swore to me that my body was ruined, incapable of bearing children. That's why I agreed to help you deceive my Dong into the palace. So all this was merely to elevate your sister to power." She pointed at me, her eyes bulging with fury. How dare she? How dare a plain-looking girl like her win the emperor's favor and become imperial consort? And me? I was born with such beauty, destined to be showered with honor and favor. Yet because I believed your words, I ruined my own future. Minister He, how cruel you are. It seemed Consort Li still hadn't grasped her brother's true intentions. Consort Li was convinced my brother had caused her disfavor to send me to the palace, beating and cursing him. My brother said nothing, silently enduring her abuse. Later, Consort Li went mad, snatching a hairpin from her hair and pressing it to her throat. "He Rendong, give me an abortion potion. If this is exposed, I'll claim you seduced me. When that happens, not only you, but even your sister, the imperial consort, won't escape punishment." My brother's hairpin fell loose, his face covered in fingerprints and slap marks. "Lin Yang, after all these years, do you truly not know how I feel about you? Back then, you entered the palace for the selection without telling me, saying our family needed you to secure a future for your younger brother. After you entered the palace, I couldn't rest easy, so I followed you in as a court physician. Lin Yang, I am a man. How do you think I felt watching you dance day and night to please another? Watching you lose your appetite and sleep over another man? For you, I even deceived my Dong into the palace. Who could have foreseen the emperor would favor her?" He tried to snatch the hairpin from Consort Li's hand. "Lin Yang, do not worry. I can report to the emperor that you are ill and unfit to leave the palace. Then we will quietly bear our child, and have my Dong help us escape the palace as a family of 3. Watching her brother advance step by step, Consort Li grew even more frenzied. "Even now you refuse to let me go? You still want me to leave the palace with you? He Rending, you're just a lowly court physician. I am Consort Li. What fine silk robes and sumptuous food could you possibly provide? What ornate palaces and carved beams? Relying on your sister, the imperial noble consort? You 2 siblings are quite the schemers." She plunged the hairpin into her brother's chest. "Since you desire to be with me so badly, let us walk together to our ruin." After breaking free from her brother, she made her way straight to the Empress Dowager's palace. Her brother, clutching his chest, was stopped at the door. Later, both she and her brother were imprisoned. I too was summoned to the palace by the Empress Dowager. She asked me, when you broke into the Emperor's chambers, was it a plot you hatched with your brother? What kind of love potion did you give the Emperor? I had no way to defend myself and could only remain silent. Upon receiving word, the Emperor rushed to the Empress Dowager's palace and shielded me behind him. Mother, this is not Maidong's fault. I have already uncovered that it was all a conspiracy orchestrated by physician He and consort Li. He led me back from the Empress Dowager's palace. Your brother and consort Li's affair has been discovered by Mother. I cannot protect them. So he had known all along that my encounter with him was orchestrated by my brother and consort Li. Out of respect for physician He being your brother, I had no intention of holding this against him. After all, he did bring you to me. But he and consort Li acted far too recklessly. 2 cups of poisoned wine were presented to my brother and consort Li. My brother snatched both cups and drank them down, begging only for consort Li to be spared. After his death, the Empress Dowager sent down a white silk rope. The Emperor issued a new decree: all concubines who had never received imperial favor could leave the palace with a gift of gold if they wished, or remain to live out their days in the palace. Some sisters rejoiced at leaving the palace, never wishing to be confined within its walls again. Others felt all men were alike, rather than serving another man outside. They preferred the palace's carefree life of ample food and clothing. A year later, despite every precaution, I found myself pregnant once more. The Emperor stroked my back, laughing heartily. I was so angry I kicked him. Hearing she was ill, I worried deeply. Being able to enter the palace to care for her would naturally be a blessing. In a dream, he shared a moment of passion with a stranger. But upon waking, the woman had scratched her own face. In a fit of anger, he sent her away, leaving only a small garment behind. Later, she refused to see him, sending word that she would never forgive his actions. Yet she bore his child. Still, she refused to see him. Each time he visited, she hid in her room reading, denying him even a glance. He entrusted her brother and close friends to care for her, intending to seek her out after the child's birth. But she died in childbirth. Consumed by grief, he extended his love to the child, naming the newborn heir apparent. For the rest of his long life, he could only clasp that tiny garment, watching the crown prince, as stubborn as she had been, to remember her. Mai Dong, do you know? This dream is the one I had after our first time together. The entire dream felt as real as living an entire lifetime. When I awoke and saw you, I only wanted to hold you tight. Even if you scratched my face, even if you resented me, I would never let you go. I cupped his face, seeing my own reflection in his eyes. No wonder he was so different in this life compared to the last. It was all my dear brother and consort Li meddling. They deceived both of us, making each believe the other harbored resentment. It was also our own stubbornness, neither willing to yield first. Only after losing what we cherished most did we regret not having softened our stance earlier. Zongbao, rest assured, this time, I'll stay by your side forever. So, when you sleep alone from now on, could you please stop clutching my nightgown as you drift off? The end.